What's up, YouTube? It is your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. Starting right off in our first row, we get the Knight of Wands in the reverse. Normally, when I see the Knight of Wands, I usually think of repeated actions. So, in the reverse, that means maybe something wasn't done in repeat motion, something that should have been done and wasn't done. And then we get the Journey card, also coming out with that Knight of Wands, which does speak of, a trip. And then we get the Sacrifice card coming out in the reverse. And to me, this card speaks of exactly what it says. It's a sacrifice that did not go as planned. Someone took a trip to make this sacrifice. Also, with this Knight of Wands, is confirming that there was a trip taken. Because that knight, he usually does in and out repeated movements, actions, or something, deeds, or something wasn't done repeated. And then we get the Star coming out in that very first row. And it has the message of Aquarius, and it says Uranus. And this star has on clothes. She doesn't show up naked like they normally depict the star. And she looks like she's pouring out a pitcher of water upon the earth. But the star to me does speak of wish fulfillment. And I'm assuming that this wish fulfillment and this sacrifice that was made, attempted sacrifice that was made upon this star, it was something that was done. And I'm assuming that this means that it's something that wasn't done in repetition. Somebody had to travel to make this sacrifice attempt. Someone took a journey to make this attempted sacrifice upon a star. And it may be this Knight of Wands that did not do diligence upon the sacrifice. Maybe he showed up insufficient in some way this night. His actions were not repeated. Maybe he did a couple, of actions regarding this sacrifice upon this star. There was a sacrifice attempt here in this first row. Because next we get the Six of Wands showing up in that second row, which does speak of a victory. And then we get the unexpected income coming out in the reverse, also with that Six of Wands, as well as the Patience card. And I'm assuming that this sacrifice was actually to attain some unexpected money that was not achieved. There was no victory. when it comes to this unexpected money, that someone patiently expected a victory um, regarding this attempted sacrifice. Maybe to be a star. Maybe someone wanted to be a star, and that's why they had to make this sacrifice attempt. They had to take a journey. And then we get this King of Pentacles coming out again. And this king shows up as a queen, which I know that a lot of people, they will say that tarot has no gender and that these are just energies, you know. But I believe that a woman is a woman when it comes out for a reason. And then with this woman coming out as a king, that's definitely significant to this read. And I'm assuming that this King of Pentacles actually, may have been the one responsible for this journey that was taken and this attempted sacrifice. And that may, been done to attain stardom. I remember a read I did months ago about that. Someone wanting to become a star, and they was willing to pay that price because whenever you get into the entertainment world, you do have to make a sacrifice. But this sacrifice was not successful. There was no victory in this sacrifice to become a star. And I'm assuming that that goes both ways. There was a sacrifice made upon a star, and also there was a sacrifice made to become a star, because that is one of the requirements that they do, pose upon people when they want to make it in the industry. You have to actually sacrifice someone that you love or something that you love. And it's usually someone that you love when it's dealing with these sacrifices, when it's occult rituals and things like that. And I remember the last read I did post about, the baby. And I really wished I could have reread that read because I had gotten some deeper insight as I thought about everything in the read. And I remember that that baby was representing you as a child. And it really didn't have anything to do with another baby. This baby was you. And then I remember getting the page also, which kind of did give me a meaning of a child, because it was two children being represented in this read that I did the last read I did. But that baby was not being routinely, the routine actions that were being done upon that child. It was you. Since birth, you were being routinely worked upon. And I'm not going to go back into that read any further, but I just wanted to remember that because this king showed up again, showing up as a queen. This king continues to show up in a king status. And this could be you. You may be the King of Pentacles. In this very read, you may be showing up as the King of Pentacles, but you are probably a girl, whomever this resonates with in this read. There was a journey taken to sacrifice you since you was a baby. And I probably need to erase that read because it was taken completely out of context. But in tarot, there are no coincidences. And so usually it's going to be related to both aspects of the read when it comes to that baby. But I'm assuming that someone did want to attain some kind of celebrity status or some kind of a lifestyle upgrade. They wanted to be victorious in this actual journey that they took to attain unexpected income. And this unexpected income wasn't attained. And that's weird because all of it comes out right with this King of Pentacles. So we're going to take this energy in both aspects. We're going to know that this King of Pentacles showing up as a queen is representing any female that resonates with this read. You're going to be put into your King of Pentacles status and reign victorious. All you need to do is have patience about this matter when it comes to this victory. And when it comes to this victory, flipping you into the King of Pentacles status. No matter what gender you are, you will be flipped into the King of Pentacles status just because of the journey that was taken upon your life since you was a baby. So you can scratch all that baby information that we got, because I remember there were some repeated actions being taken against the baby. And I never like to read on a baby because I'm like, well, what kind of energy are they going to bring to the spread? But a baby can be also representing, something brand new, something that was just birthed. And in this particular read I'm discussing from the very last read I did, I was repeating about this darkness that was being done unto this baby, and that baby was you. And that was the journey that was taken along your life. You've been sacrificed since you was a child. And these actions were done, and I'm going to take this Knight of Wands energy anyways, no matter that it came out in the reverse. Because since it came out in the reverse, these actions were very, un, unjustifiable. These actions were unjustifiable, whatever routine actions that someone took a journey upon on you to sacrifice you as a child, starting from when you were a baby all the way through your teenage years. Because that's what them two children were trying to tell me in the spread, that was directly related to me. So forgive me on my, on my intuition and my ability to hear, and I was thinking back and reflecting on the read, and I was like, that was you. Someone was trying to become a star. They was trying to replace a star, and they was actually trying to sacrifice a star. And these actions were done repeatedly, and they were dark actions up against you. This witchcraft and this cult sacrifices that they make, and I've seen some things online about people like, they said, they rumored that Kanye West gave his mother up. And there's a number of people that are stars that have to give up something precious, so-called precious, the precious, And then we get this hangman coming out in the third row. And, and this is in the reverse. So someone is seeing something completely different. Someone has had a chance to reflect and go inside, and maybe they're seeing someone as a false person. Or maybe this false person is seeing something completely different. I'm assuming that this false person refuses to actually introspect and refuses to actually gain any inner wisdom or inner advice. And then this just confirms it, because we do get the intuition card coming out right in that third row, right in this same context that I was speaking of, that this false person refuses to go within and to actually get a new perspective or to see things differently. They refuse to use their intuition as well, coming out in this third row. And then we get the Fool card confirming that refusal and that, arrogance. And this is another Aquarius card. All day long, whenever you see that Fool, and someone thought you was a fool, all through your lifespan, they played you for the fool. And they really didn't even believe that you had any connection with your intuition, which is what kept you and guided you through, and even instructed you on how to maneuver through your whole entire lifespan from birth. They refused to gain a proper perspective, and they wanted to remain clueless and foolish. The continuous actions and things and the sacrifice itself was foolish upon the fool, you know, because we get the star and the fool coming out, and both of these cards represent Aquarius, and that just confirms that you were sacrificed as a child. You know, if you resonate with this read, and it doesn't have to be speaking directly just to an Aquarius. This can be speaking to anyone that has played the fool and even had to become the fall guy in any situation. You know, this could be from your friends, your family, or your coworkers, or your spouse even. They all played you for a fool. And they all tried to attain, you know, this, and I want to say stardom, you know, popularity or celebrity status. You know, that's what they were looking to attain from that sacrifice, because that's what happens when you do make a sacrifice. You're supposed to be receiving something back when you make them deals with the devil. And then this even confirms everything that I'm saying when you get this Seven of Pentacles showing up, because this shows a man that is examining what he did invest upon. He's looking back upon it. He's checking on it to see if it brought in anything of harvest form. Because then we get the High Honor card in the reverse. Someone thought that this investment would put them in high honor, but it didn't. It put them in high honor in reverse. So that means it put them in shame, because you remember, they tried to put you as the fall guy and ended up setting themselves up to be the fool in the situation. Whomever this false person is that did not lead with their intuition, because they refuse to go within and gain a proper perspective. Whenever you see that hangman coming out in the reverse, and this is all dealing with a false person. And I'm assuming that everyone you dealt with since your childhood has been a false person, due to the sacrifice that you were supposed to be offered up as. You were supposed to be offered up as a sacrifice here in this read here. And you were supposed to be the fall guy here in this read also. You know, whenever you see that fool coming out like that, the fall guy comes into play. Big time. And then we get the Page of Cups coming out in the reverse, which sometimes can speak of an apology when it comes out in the upright. But in the reverse, someone ain't even in any kind of remorse about you being the sacrifice. I guess that's just how the game is played. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Whenever you see this card coming out in the reverse, because someone is not sorry for these attempts that were made upon you since you was a child. And it even shows that someone is even showing up as trapped in fear. And I'm assuming that maybe these investments that they did make is what's got them trapped in fear. And them not being held in high honor also has them trapped in fear, because that was the whole purpose of this journey. That was the whole purpose of this, involuntary movements, and these consistency was what they did on these actions upon you, so that they could become a star. And it sounds really elementary. It sounds so ridiculous to hear from me that someone in my real circle, involving my real life, was trying to do like a Beyonce on me. You know how she had to sacrifice her cousin? Kanye had to sacrifice his mom. Jennifer Hudson had to sacrifice her entire family just to gain the stardom. And I don't know who you contact to make this deal. I guess you directly have to deal with the devil. You know, this is what they were giving back for their efforts and their investments. This is what their crop harvested them, being trapped in fear. And see, now this card can also speak of an actual incarceration. Whenever your crops didn't produce the fruit that you was expecting to be held in high honor, them crops didn't produce. This is what they produced: imprisonment. And this can be mental or real literal physical imprisonment that it did manifest for someone, showing up as this Page of Cups in the very fourth row. And someone feels like a fool. I'm assuming that this whole entire conglomerate feels foolish for trying to sacrifice a star and also trying to sacrifice a fool. Because if you are resonating with this, then you played the fool. Sometimes, at some time you played the fool because you were given some kind of offer that was a reverse. Someone wasn't sorry at all about this foolishness that took place to attain some unexpected income and some crops that they harvested upon. Someone's feeling foolish. And I'm assuming the whole group is. And then we get the Death card in the reverse. And this is a traditional tarot card. This is the original Wider Rate deck or Wider Right deck. Or what is the name of it? It's the traditional tarot. It's coming out, These are the cards that I guess they may have been the very origin of them, the very start of the tarot. Some of the first cards. But then we have the Despair card, because someone's trying to prevent an ending, probably within their world and their, actual little or death. Because we do get the partnerships and alliances showing up in the reverse. Somebody made some bad deals and shook some hands with some people that they really regret shaking hands with. They regret the investments that were made. And now they're trying to prevent something from ending. And it's probably very literal when we're speaking of whatever's being prevented from ending. Because we now get the Moon card showing up in the reverse, which this speaks of Cancer. And this also speaks of secrets being released whenever you see this in the reverse. There may be some secrets being dropped and released about a Cancer, being directly related to this investment and this sacrifice on a journey to take out a star or on a journey to become a star. I'm assuming that that's what this Cancer was up to all along, and it was a secret. It was not supposed to be known. All these type of rituals and attempts and the actual bait hook that they put you up on to become famous or worldwide or world renowned, world known, or whatever you want to call it. And then they had to even make these partnerships and alliances that didn't even measure up. These contracts were not fulfilled. It was a fake attempt. These partnerships and alliances actually stripped them of their honor, and it threw them into the reverse as dishonorable. Throw them into the reverse and got them trapped in fear. These partnerships and alliances is what threw them into reverse and got them trapped in fear. And then this confirms the trapped in fear card because we get the Despair also. Someone's trying to prevent a death, and it's probably inevitable. Whatever ending or death we're speaking of, it's inevitable. And these secrets will be released. They will be coming out. The secrets about these partnerships and alliances will be coming out. And then next we get the Ten of Wands in the reverse. Someone's going to be actually relieved. This is the card of relief from burdens whenever you see it coming out in the reverse, because there's a completion that it even has the message of. This has the message of a completion, and something wasn't complete. Also, when you see that coming out in the reverse, that means someone's going to be uplifted from them restrictions and them burdens, and it also means that there's been a completion. And no, in the reverse, something is not complete. The sacrifice was not complete. That's the secret that's going to be revealed to you, that you were placed up as a sacrifice. And you're going to be healing from heartbreak whenever you see this Three of Swords come out in the reverse. Them swords are going to be dropped out of your heart. And it may be regarding a courtship that went south, and someone had no fire energy. Whenever you see this solar plexus coming out in the reverse, they didn't have the hara or the chi force, the energy field. They didn't have the integrity. They didn't have the honor. They didn't have the ability to pull this sacrifice off. That's the secret that's coming out. They didn't receive any harvest. That's another secret that's coming out. For this stardom that they was looking for, trying to attain. Something was not completed, because we get this card in the reverse, speaking of no completion, because they didn't have the fire energy that it takes to birth something out of your core. You birth things out of your core, which is something that I mention all the time, is how to manifest things out of your own fire from inside. It's a God-given seed of faith that he gives to every individual. Someone didn't have enough fire, enough faith, and they didn't have enough skill, because this shows occupation. This is something that was worked upon, and they were skilled at it. Whoever did work upon. And then the Ten of Wands again in the reverse, speaking of another completion, something that was not completed. And like I just mentioned, that Knight of Wands, he speaks of that routine efforts to try to strip you from your high honor, and to try to make you out to play the fool, and to try to even sacrifice you for fame and stardom, and probably even to sacrifice you for stability, and then this is marriage. This is the marriage card. Someone worked hard upon you, and they weren't able to complete the mission. They were not able to complete this skill that they thought they were skilled at stripping people off their foundations, and also trying to put burdens on people as well. Whenever you see that energy coming out on the deck, someone tried to burden you. They tried to make you a sacrifice, and they tried to make you a fall guy. And I know that this story line is probably, it's so probably hard to continue to hear. But this is the energy that we're picking up here on this spread.